Hi everyone, I'm going to show you a very quick tutorial about how to get started animating in Google Slides. This is a really nice way to demonstrate the process of animation, and the way that we'll be doing this today is more like a flip book. So first of all, I have my slide on the side here, and I have what I'm going to call my stage right here. I'm going to start with a shape that's already in Slides. And I'm going to start right over here, paint bucket. I'm going to make this bright green. Okay. You might notice that if I click over here, I cannot see this bright green square, which means that this is off stage. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click on my bright green square, edge this over a little bit with my arrow keys. Now I can see a little bit of that appearing over here. I'm going to duplicate this slide now. I can do this a few different ways. How I'm going to do it right now is press and hold the Control key and click D on my keyboard. Now I have two slides, right? And I'm on my second slide here, and I'm going to just edge this forward a little bit more, and I'm going to try to rotate my shape a little bit while I'm at it. Click on my slide over here so I can see this yellow ring around my slide. Control D for duplicate. Move forward with my arrow keys, and I might try to move down a little bit as well. Rotate my shape, and here we go. Don't want to do too much movement all at once here, right? Rotate again. And my goal here is to try to make this block look like it's tumbling a little bit. Rotate again. And my reason for using the arrow keys is very simple. It's that I have more control over the motion with my arrow keys, and it won't look as shaky if I was going to try to move these with a mouse. We're going to try one more slide after this one. And then I'll show you what I have so far. Okay, I lied. One more slide. Okay. So now to view this, I'm going to click on my first slide. I can go into slideshow mode and see what I've got. Now I'm going to escape with my keyboard, slideshow mode, and I'm now going to show you, you can make objects look like they're bouncing. So I've just duplicated that slide again, and I'm going to squish my object just slightly, right? And I'm going to duplicate again, and I'm going to expand my object again and move that up, okay? And it won't look as nice as if I had a circle for that bounce effect, but I can definitely look like it's bouncing and tumbling away. Okay, so slideshow mode again, here's what I have. You can see that little bounce effect right here and tumbling away. So I can use shapes that are already there. I can make a very simple animation and play around with it. I can also draw my own shapes, right? I can use the polyline tool, but you do need to go back to where you started at this point in order to fill it in. That's kind of tricky for people sometimes, right? And I could also use the curve tool. So here we are. This one's even trickier. I'm going to make this one probably a bright orange, right? So the difference between using one of these line tools and the pre-produced shapes is I can double click on a shape that I have drawn, and if you'll look closely, zoom in here. If you look closely, I have these little purple dots, and that means I can manipulate the shape as I'm animating. And so making those changes can really add quite a lot to your animation, right? So that makes it smoother sometimes to animate movement, and that's just another option. One more option that you have is to search the web for PNG images for your animation. So maybe you want this little penguin here. I might choose this one actually. Okay. And PNG would just mean that it doesn't have that background that's annoying. And images are fun to put in your animation as well, but just know that they are limited, right? Meaning that you can't really change the facial expressions on that penguin. You can't really do very much with the wings and flopping around. But something you could try is you could try to trace an image as well and create your own characters that way. Or you could even try to build your own characters using the shapes provided in the program as well. But if you create your own characters, that just gives you more flexibility in terms of what your characters are doing, how they're changing, and whatnot, right? So what I'm doing right now is I'm tracing this penguin to allow for more customization, right? And so I'd be able to, after I've traced it, I'd be able to shift the eyes around. I'd be able to make it look like it's blinking and things like that. So animating, the main steps that you need really are to press Control D for duplicate. Okay. You can also right click and duplicate the slide that way if that's easier, right? And it's important that you click on your slide first before pressing Control D. It's also important that you continuously look in slideshow mode at how you are doing, right? Another reason why we press Control D is because that means that our shape from the previous slide is exactly where we want that to be, right? I also recommend changing the color as you go instead of trying to change all your colors of your shapes at the end, right? Something else you can do with changing the color is if you go into the paint bucket once you've clicked on your shape, notice that's not there right now, but I'm going to click on my shape, paint bucket, custom, and I can change the transparency, right? And this is a way that you could fade your shapes in and out, right? So I could get rid of, right next to the paint bucket is the line tool. I could make it so that my shape is all the way transparent. Looks like it's not even there anymore, right? And then I could duplicate, find my shape again. It's somewhere. Here it is. Paint bucket, bring that transparency up a little bit, right? Continue on duplicating, custom, transparency again. Continue on, transparency again, until I have a fully solid form, right? And that is one way you can also fade in shapes. Right, so here we are. This is what that looks like. And I have a nice fade there. So much you can do with color, shape, and animation. You don't have to be super fancy to make an effective animation. You can change your background color as well. You can add an image to your background. There's so much that you can try and play around with. The line tool, the shape tool, and Control D for duplicate is really all that you need to make an animation. I hope that this was helpful for any of you that want to try animating, and I wish you all the best.